There's only two types of Mopars from the classic era that I've never owned. I've never owned a factory lightweight, and I've never had a wing car. I had one aero car. I had a 69 500 way back when, but never a wing car. And I always had a fascination for them. I never really wanted to own one, but I do love them. You know, it's one of those things where it's just like, it's just too much of a burden. You know, the nosecone and all of that, right? So I never really pursued one to, you know, to own, but I do love the cars. So imagine my surprise when I find out that we've actually got one here in my city. I've lived in this town for 17 years and never knew this car existed. But here it is. And its owner, Richard Fleener, has invited us over to actually give us a tour through the car. So everybody knows what a Daytona looks like, right? Everybody knows the basic story. You know, it's an aero car from 1969. It was designed for NASCAR racing. Here, take a look at the car. So we all know the basic story. We all know the basic big details of the car. But there's a lot of little things that make these things up that nobody's ever covered. And this is a Tony. This is Richard.
Hi, Tony.
Wrong man.
Great. Glad you're here.
Yeah, we're glad to be here. And thank you for inviting us.
Oh, welcome. Anytime. Anytime.
So, real quick, just give them a rundown on the car, how you acquired it, and
oh, gee.
just about it.
I do a couple of websites, and one day I got a phone call because I feature the aero cars sometimes, and I got a phone call from some folks out in California.
Wait, what's the website?
LegendaryCollectorCars.com.
Okay.
I got a call from some folks out in California, and they said that their husband had died, and he had they thought it was a Daytona in a garage in storage someplace, and they wanted to know if it was real. So I asked all the normal questions, and they couldn't answer most of them. So I said, well, get back to me when you found the data plate. Get back to me when you've got a little more info. So they did. And I said, yeah, you got yourself, when they gave me the VIN, I said, you got yourself a real Daytona there.
Now, what are the numbers on the VIN?
The key numbers are the XX. The VIN starts with XX. If it's got two X's up front, it's
now, the regular Charger is XP.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they gave me that, and I said, you got yourself a real deal. I said, describe the car, and they did. And then over a series of months, we exchanged phone calls. And they wanted me to tell them what it was worth. And I said, that's next to impossible. I'm in Tennessee, you're in California. I've never seen anything but pictures, and I won't value a car that way. Right. So they told me, and I said it's worth at least a certain amount, just unless if you're even close to your description, it's probably worth that. So one thing led to another, and they said they wanted to sell it, and I said, well, let me look at it all. I flew out to California, took a look at it. They had told me the car was an automatic and was white. And when I got there, I looked at the data plate and said, no, this is a 4-speed car. And no, it's always been an automatic. So I went over and pointed to them. There was 3 pedals on the floor. And you know, I think it really is a 4-speed. And then looking at the rest of the information, it came back as a T7 dark bronze car.
So now, that is unusual.
It's the only one they did in the T7 color. They did one other one, but it featured a black wing and black stripe and black interior. So it's the only one in this combination. Yeah, it is really rare. And we were thrilled at that because we really wanted one that was a little different than everybody else's.
My friend Tony D'Agostino, he's up in Delaware. You know Tony?
Yeah, white one, red stripe. Oh, yeah, gorgeous car.
Yeah, right.
Gorgeous.
So, but at any rate, so listen, what I wanted to do with this car is give people a tour of the nuts and bolts. Let's get inside of this thing and see all of the special little pieces and odds and ends that actually make up a Daytona.
Okay, good.
So we'll start wherever you want.
Well, let's start at the front and work back.
Okay.
The most obvious thing, of course, is the nose on the front end. Now, most people don't understand, this car was built in May of '69, and they were shipped to dealers in August of '69.
Okay.
And they feature 1970 front fenders and hood.
So you can see, if you're familiar with Chargers, you can see right away the difference in this scalloped area.
So they they already had them, they're almost a prototype set of fenders because they were putting them on at Creative Industries between May and August. The nose is not fiberglass. Every factory nose is steel.
We should point out the fender, the main difference on the fender between the 69 and the 70.
The reason they had to put the 70 fenders on here is because they had to put a nose cone on it for aerodynamics, and the 69 just wasn't conducive to that. But the 70 was going to have a big chrome bumper all around. It was easy to remove that bumper from the 70 front end and then put the nose cone on.
Now they also added this piece down here.
Yeah, and the big rubber gap to seal the two together. The trim on the fender is unique because...
Yeah, come around to this side. You can see it from the back.
All the cars were built as 1969 Dodge Chargers, RTs. And then they went to Creative Industries for the redo. In the trim, they had a cut to make this fit because it's no longer a 1969 fender, it's a 70 fender. This piece is added, and then underneath there's most people will never see it, it's a bunch of aerodynamic panels to make the car as smooth on the highways.
We're going to see it right now. Here,
okay, let's see it.
Come down here, Kat. Yeah, I happen to have a handy dandy flashlight. Okay, let's see. Oh, we need this part. Okay, so there's a spoiler, but then you've also got a partial belly pan over here. And then this is something that's really unique. They've got a rubber shield, right, that goes, it covers the front of the K-frame and the front of the sway bar. And this is something I've never seen before.
It further smooths out all the air going under the car and gets it away from all the roll bar and all the oil pan and everything. Deflects the air down further, makes it cleaner air flow.
So that's, you know, the thing with the Daytona is that the Superbird was more of a production type of car, just to make the wing and the nose cone, you know, legal. But the Daytonas were built in such a way that if you were racing these cars, if you're going to take the livery of a Daytona, it had all of the pieces that you needed on it for the aero package. So these things were basically race cars that were just decked out as street cars, and you can go either way with it. So there's a lot of neat pieces here, and a lot of it is overbuilt. If you look up here, you've got these one-off bumper braces, and these things hold. Richard, can we get under the hood?
Sure.
And we could show the rest of that. And then if you look up here, this is really neat too. Now, I don't know if you can see this. If you look up here, that's from the factory. The hood, the fender scoops are actually functional, and they put that grid there so that stuff that's kicked up off the tires doesn't go flying down your fender. But that's like an actual ready-to-go racing NASCAR piece, and that was standard on all Daytonas. The Superbirds didn't have that. The Superbirds just had the scoop bolted to the fender itself. So let's go over here. So for the headlights and everything, there's no visible turn signals on this thing.
Correct. They're down in the grill, hidden behind the screen.
So we're thinking they're from what, a Valiant?
I think they're from a late '60s Valiant.
Okay. Let's pop the headlights up.
You started.
Yeah, these things are vacuum operated, so that's where I have the motor running. That's good. So, are there any pieces, I know the mechanisms are all the regular 69 Charger, 68, 69 vacuum setup, but are there any pieces borrowed from other cars like Corvettes or?
No, as far as I know, and they're hard to find parts for these mechanisms because they're different than the regular Charger mechanisms.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I looked inside and looked at the vacuum canister.
Well, yeah, some of that stuff may be the same, but as
Okay.
far as the mechanicals of making these things come up.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's not something you're
In
going to
the
call
buckets.
Rock Auto.
No, not gonna happen.
And as they went to electric in 1970, but in 68 and 69 they were all vacuum. And the same actuators that they used for the headlight doors on these Chargers are the ones that they used for the air grabber, like a, you know, the lift up scoop, you know, the air grabber scoop. Same mechanism that they used on those.
I didn't know that.
No.
To hold this nose on, it took a lot of additional structure to withstand the pressure and the shimmy and shake. If you look, this piece extends out to support the nose. This is the original front end radiator shroud there.
Well, this is added right here.
Yeah, that's to help take the pan here. There is no hood latch. There's a safety latch, but there's no pull, there's no under the hood latch. The hood pins are functional. They hold the hood down. This is simply a safety latch that's required, the second edition, you know, the second version. So when it pops up, you've got a redundant safety. And so when you open the hood, you got to stick your hand in and come back and find that and pull it out to let the hood go up.
Now, I know there's a 70 Charger skin, but is this different or is this the same?
These are an original 70 Daytona hood is slightly different than a regular 70 Charger hood, and that's because they were early production, and there are some differences in them than the production. The ones built in '69 are a little different.
Okay. And this is all beefed up. This is like intended to take 200-mile-an-hour wind.
Yeah.
And that was the goal of this car. The whole point of this car, Chrysler brought the aerodynamicists in to pick up how much?
The way that works, Mopar needed another 85 horsepower to try to hit that 200 mark they were aiming for on the speedways, Talladega and Daytona. To get 85 horsepower is really tough. They'd had the Hemi was good, but it's a lot to get 85 more horsepower. They found with using some aero engineers from NASA that if they could reduce aerodynamics by 15%, it was equivalent to 85 horsepower. Okay. So those engineers went to town on the Charger designing a package that would do what 85 horsepower would do. And that's how the Daytona package resulted. I was talking to one of the engineers that was the original designers on the car, and I asked him how much of it was for aesthetics and how much of it was just for pure speed. And he said there isn't one thing on that car for aesthetics. It's all to go faster.
I believe it. I believe it. So this was actually an evolution of the 500, the 69 Charger 500, because when NASCAR started racing them in '68, that body style, they found that the things that make the car stand out so unique as, you know, from a styling perspective, actually killed its aerodynamics. And they found that the grill, the sunken grill, and the sunken back window, which we'll go there now. What would happen was that the back window created a vacuum that tried to lift the back of the car off the ground. And the sunken grill allowed air to collect inside of it, so it became like a dam. So that's why in early '69 with the 500, they added the 1968 coronet grill and they brought it flush to the front, and then they did this to the back window. Let's go to the back of this car. Oh, we got these things too, these air deflectors.
They were doing everything they could to smooth up the air as it flowed over the car. And the original trim was a hot spot for resistance, so these stainless steel covers were made to go over the window pillar to smooth that airflow up over the car.
You know what, I was always surprised that they didn't use a bubble windshield like they did on the '65 cars, was it? It's just like the regular windshield.
Yeah, evidently it worked. Let's look. Yeah, you can see this. If you look at the window pillar, the rear window panel coming down on the top, there's a crease right before the window, and you can see it in this picture. That is where the original Charger rear window was. It sit in that groove. They broke out the rear window to put the plug in for the fastback window.
Well, tell the story about that. Look, hey, Kat, come over here and we'll show the window.
When we were restoring this car, we pulled the package tray off, this big package tray off to get back there, and under it were little chips of the window. Creative Industries didn't take it out, they broke it out, and they didn't clean up all the glass. There was still some old glass laying in the window package.
Well, a lot of people don't realize these cars weren't actually built on the Chrysler assembly line. They were built as Charger RTs on the assembly line, and then they were shipped to Creative Industries for the modifications to being a Charger. So yeah, so instead of taking the original back window out before they could put this plug in, they just broke the window and kept going. And that plug, the body work that they did on that is really...
The reason all Superbirds have vinyl tops is the finish work they discovered when they were finishing the Chargers off took a lot of time, a lot of effort, and it would be a lot easier if they put the plug in and put a vinyl top on it.
Well, those cars had a fiberglass plug.
Yeah. The old sail panel came down about like this. The trunk came back to about here, so they actually had to section the trunk and pull it together so they could get a good clean line arrow-wise back to the rear.
Let's take a look on the trunk. Richard, what does it change a spare tire on this car?
The only way I can mount that tire in or out is I have to crawl into the trunk to be able to reach the nut to release and it's a push and shove to get the tire up there where it belongs. It's not user-friendly.
So if you look back in here, it's got the original trunk torsion bar mounting points on the wheelhouse, and then they added these very long arms to operate the trunk lid to get it all to clear. And the Dutchman panel here is one piece, you say?
Yes. And then molded into the body. The wing will take 650 pounds of downforce. You'll see a lot of pictures on Facebook and on the internet. Girls sitting on it. That's a real deal.
Oh, I know.
And the weight on the track, if you had 650 pounds of downforce, or even here, pushing down in this quarter pounder, you're going to screw it up pretty bad. So they triangulated a brace in here that mounts to the mounting bolts on the wing, which is cast aluminum, and goes down and transfers that downforce directly into the frame. One of the funniest things is they were building these cars to race, not for driving. And so when they put those braces in, they didn't bother to remove the trunk mat. They bolted the trunk mat down on top of the trunk mat.
Yeah, here, come here. You can see it on this side. See, so here's the brace, and there's the bolt, and they put it right through the floor mat, the trunk mat. And if you look at this trunk lid too, you can see where they sectioned the original full-size trunk lid, and they added this piece over here to finish it off. Really unique stuff. And the jacks.
Oh, well, back in 1969, you used bumper jacks.
Right.
You put your jack under the bumper and pulled it up. Well, there's no bumper in the front end, so what are you going to do? You got to have a scissors jack. But a scissors jack's not going to work back here, so you got to have a bumper jack. So you got two jacks in this car. You've got a conventional bumper jack here, and then mounted next to it's a scissors jack. So it's one of the few cars ever made that comes with two jacks.
Now the scissor jack originated in what application?
I can't tell you.
I remember there was, I think it was a foreign car, might have been a Opel.
It's hard to tell.
Or something.
I don't remember what, I'm not sure where it came from.
But it has its own unique mounting setup over here. It's got a foot that holds it down, the wing nut, the stud that comes through, all unique to the Charger. Like if you were going to try to, clone one of these cars, There's a lot to it. It's not, you're not just going to stick a nose cone and a wing on it.
Yeah.
And the wing is adjustable here.
Oh,
which
yeah.
a lot of people don't realize.
When I got the car, this wing was set up slightly, about like this in the back. And I contacted one of the owners. This car originally spent 3 years in Germany. And I talked to one of the owners that owned the car, and he's the guy that actually got it into the Nuremberg 250 Club. And they had to run 250 kilometers per hour average speed over a timed course on the Autobahn. And he saw the pictures I sent him of the car when I got it, and he says, "Oh my God, that's where I set the wing to do the run on for the 250.
You want to hear a funny story about Germans and Mopars? I had a guy contact me years ago. I used to do the magazines. And he wanted to talk about, he was German, and he wanted to talk about, you know, his Mopars, how he loved Mopars, and, you know, that was the thing. And it came back to, I was like, so where did you get, you know, of all the things in the world, why 1969, 1970 Mopars? And he says, because that's what all of the pimps drove around here. That was it. That was it. B-body Mopars were the iconic pimp mobile of late 1960s Germany.
I would never guess that.
Right?
Yeah.
And the rest of this is just regular 69
Yep.
Charger. There's nothing special there.
Yep.
What a car.
Yeah, they are. They're remarkable. They're an icon of the 60s for sure, and the 70s.
They're eternal. You know,
Yeah.
the thing is, this car is 51 years old right now, and if you said, well, you know, here's the new thing for 2024, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's there.
Yeah.
It's there. So, is that all we wanted to cover on this car?
I think so. Outside of getting into details about this particular car or anything, it's yeah. They got
But if
most of the
somebody's
stuff.
interested in the details of this particular car, I know this has been covered in a bunch of different places. Where you want to tell them where you can see that?
I've got on my website, legendarycollectorcars.com, I've got a 19 or 20 piece series of articles that deal with the full restoration of the car.
So every bit of the restoration process, and it's all covered.
Yeah, it covers from the day we got it, brought it home, to the day we took it out.
Nice. That's something you guys definitely want to check out. And let's drive the Ford guys crazy.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Let's not even pay attention to the Talladega park outside. That's not even there.
It's not there. It's
Yeah.
not.
Let's show them.
That is the first regular production car off the assembly line.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
So this is the next video we'll be doing.
1969 Cale Yarborough spoiler, 428 Ram Air. Survivor quality 1969 Dan Gurney spoiler 2, which is the Mercury Talladega car.
And we're going to pull both of these cars out and show you the differences between the regular production car and the NASCAR ready car. And that's it. I don't want to say any more. Let's just leave it as a tease. Richard, thank you so much for letting us come out here.
Do you want to? Yeah. Yeah. Were you still on camera?
Yeah, we're still going.
Okay. I was going to tell you something else about the next time around, but.
Save it.
Okay.
Save it. We leave it as a teaser. The UTG video isn't over until we say see you tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
So you could do that.
Oh, see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me, I got two things to tell you.
Yeah.